Hello and a very warm welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod. I'm Johnny Hammond and alongside Rachel Burfingtons. How are you, Burf?
I'm really good, thanks. I know, it's great to be back. I've missed your face. And I'm feeling really good actually. How about you?
Yeah, we're on good form, thank you. Christmas is around the corner, always an exciting time of the year. Outside of the Christmas lights putting up around the outside of the house. Vertigo is not a strength of mine. But apart from that, we're in very good form, thank you. And you are back. You've been remodeled, like your house is being remodeled at the moment, hence the bangs and crashes in the background. But the knee's been remodeled and you're back out on the park. That must be... Because I was in the stand when you did it, and it was obviously fairly serious, and I thought, I think that's probably it. And for you to come back, absolutely fair play to you. How great is it to be back out in the park with your teammates?
Oh, thanks, Johnny. Yeah, look, there were times when I didn't think I was going to come back from it, but just kept persevering. It feels amazing to be back out there. Like, I had my last sign off with the surgeon, and I was like, my knee doesn't feel like my knee. He's like, your knee is absolutely fine. Not going to feel like your knee for at least another 2 more years. So at least when I got that information, like, this is just how it's going to feel. You're not going to have, the feeling is the right one, but trust me, it's solid. You've done the work. We've done the work as well inside the knee. And then, to get out there against Sale Sharks a couple of weeks ago and just come on and, it's been really hard watching from the sideline and not being able to contribute on the pitch with the players and then, to kick on, have DMP the following week back at the Stoop. That was really special. And then to play against Saracens this weekend and managed to get through all of it. I had Rocky Clark picking me up off the floor at one time, and I also had Sonia Green. So the old girls were looking after me at a couple of stages during the game. But I feel really, really honoured to be back out on the pitch, and just reminds you, that it's not always going to be there. So I'm just taking every moment that I get and really cherishing it.
Yeah. Oh, but it's great to see and great to hear. And there's been plenty of your current players, and there's no better compliments, is there? It's a fair play for you coming back and playing well. And strangely enough, you're having a bit of a wobble, and lo and behold, Bosh, Rachel Burford comes back, the rudder, the leader, and we're beating the old enemy Saracens. Do you know how much influence you have on your team?
No, I think I do have some influence, but I don't. I think It's a collective. It's a collective group of us that inspire and influence the squad as a whole. And I think one person just can sometimes put all those pieces together, and then it really works. And I think we've got a really good leadership group at the moment that helps with each of those parts at a particular time, whether it was me missing or whether it was, an Amy Cocaine missing or an Emily Scott missing, there would still be that void. But even if they then replug it, it's not down to them. It's still been a really strong collective group of us that, we knew where we were with those wobbles, and we knew that where we wanted to get to. We're just so proud of that performance that we did against Saracens. And, we always know it's going to be a hard challenge against them. There's no question about that. But the one thing that we really took pride in ourselves was just to play, not to go within ourselves, and just to keep playing even at half time. We weren't really ahead. We weren't fully on top of the game, but just making sure that we go and play our way. And if we're in the right end of the result, but we can walk away, knowing that we went out there and tried to do what we wanted to do, then we could be proud of that still. So, I think it's more effective than just me as one individual.
Good. Well, I'm pleased you're back, and we're disagreeing already. So that's good. Because there is this, Jared Mullen, your coach, cites you on every opportunity he can in terms of your leadership role, and I don't think it's any coincidence that the fortunes have taken a step up since your return. So there's some smoke blowing your way.
Thank you.
No, absolutely brilliant. Look, we've got a great show ahead of us. you are going to chat about a few of the stories in the last week or so. Get your thoughts on those other Premiership games and drill into the Queen's Harriers a little bit more. But we've also got Zoe Allcroft, simply the best player on the planet at the moment. So it's going to be great to chat to her. But we've got to start in one place, Berth, and that is over in Ireland again. How many times have we said that over the last three series? Do you want to take us through it? A letter's been sent, isn't it, by basically Irish women's rugby royalty?
Yeah, so give the kind of lowdown of exactly what's happened. So there's been a large group of current and previous Irish international rugby players that have written to the Irish government concerning their absolute loss in the faith in the IRFU. There's over 62 players that have signed the letters that, you know, call on the Minister of State of Sport, Jack Chambers, and the Minister of Sport, Catherine Martin, to intervene with the IRWU into seeing, you know, multiple. They quoted multiple cycles of substandard commitment from the union. They believe that the IRWU has produced inadequate and untrustworthy leadership for far too long, and lack of transparency over the operations and governance in the women's game in Ireland, particularly surrounding the tender of Anthony Eddy and David Nucifora since 2014. Since Ireland women have missed many performance targets without leadership and, you know, scrutiny across the media. So the letter makes a number of appealing demands, including a transparency and publication of a subsequent review findings, and ultimately request guarantees to be made for improvement of Irish women's rugby. There are notable absent in signatures from the contracted via the IRFU for sevens, although through the IRFU in other matters for obvious reasons as well. So that's quite a lot to take in. But yeah, it's pretty alarming. What's been sent out is really brave, what the players have set out to do. And now it's a question of what's next, what's going to happen on the back of these you know, real big statements intent from the players.
I think it's hugely significant, and it's a wider. I know Ali Donnelly's been speaking about this over the last 24 hours. Just this a more common theme of women's sports people wanting to put their voices out there and not afraid to do it. And obviously, the sevens contracted girls are not on that list of people signing the letter. You know. It would be somebody very incredibly brave to do that. But on that letter are signings of Kiera Griffin, who has literally just stood down as captain. So she's been right in it till weeks ago. So for her to sign it, the head of women's rugby in South Africa, Lynn Campwell's on there. Fiona Coughlin, former Ireland captain when, you know, in their glory years. Cleena Maloney's on there, you know, the current Ireland hooker. So she was one of those who spoke out before, wasn't she, using sort of the terminology of slurry being sort of thrown about the place. The government have now said that they want to, as I understand it, want to have a meeting with the IRFU to understand a little bit more, and obviously concerned about this letter. But it's boring. When is something going to be done? Because we go round and round. They've had numerous reviews, as the letter states. None of it's ever been made public. They haven't met targets, and yet there's people employed to hit those targets as performance directors, as head of women's rugby to hit these targets. And even in the press release, sorry, I'm ranting, Berth, but even in the press release, and you know, this is an ongoing issue with the IRFU media department. And I've sort of given up trying to communicate with them. It's like, you know, having a roof rack for a motorbike. It's absolutely pointless. But they mentioned the 2023 World Cup. No, gents, ladies, that's the men's World Cup. It's the 2021 World Cup pushed back to 2022. They also call it the Women's World Cup. Well, that gender prefix was dropped years ago by World Rugby. And they're griping at this letter coming out while these reviews are going on, while they've done exactly the same themselves. Antonelli was talking in the press when the reviews were live, so sort of potentially influencing them as well. And it's I just find it, my last point, it's just ridiculously ironic that they're attacking their own players about a letter that depicts them not being listened to. I mean, it's just here you go.
It's
Here's
just
a letter. We've not been listened to. Oh, we're not going to listen to you again. How dare you write a letter? It's comical.
Yeah. It's quite heartbreaking when you step away from your side of frustrations that players have got to this point. They can't just speak to the RFU. They've had to go to the sport minister to say we need help. And then the fact that it's got to that level, and whether you're long retired, whether you just retired, you're putting your name to something that could have consequences, but it's so strong how they feel that they're prepared to do that, because they're not on about the change for now, they're on about the change for tomorrow, for the next group of young girls who want to play for Ireland. That's what they're doing this for the longevity of Irish women's rugby, to restore what has been, is what their ultimate goal is, and they feel like this is the only way that they can get through to them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As you say, it's not desperation, because it's clearly very well measured, it's very well written, and points are very, very clear and succinct. But it does come from a place of desperation when you see, how does Cleena Maloney go from an island camp where you're not qualifying for a World Cup back into a WAS environment where you've got Harry Miller-Mills, who's just been on a 6-week camp, and she's got this, that, and the other, and it's all professional and all the rest to it. It must be absolutely heartbreaking why these things can't be leveled off.
Just on that, like, it's exhausting. Like, the mental well-being of players going through all of that, let alone, like, I mean, the result is one thing, but going through the roller coaster that they go through, the mental and physical, emotional side of things on their physical health, like, that worries me. It genuinely does. Like, like you say, going back to work, then all of a sudden you're flying back to Ireland, you're doing this, and then you over the weekend, then you're back in work Monday, and then like, it's just, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much kind of turmoil that's going on. It makes me worried for those players, and I really hope that those players, if anybody is struggling, that they're asking for help and they've got support systems around them, because it takes its toll on you. It's physically draining fighting battles, let alone doing all the training and the rugby and the travel. Fighting battles is physically draining,
while still trying to earn a living as well, for most of these players as well. It's an extraordinary situation. Look, I think they would have taken great heart from Wales and the big uprising there. I know a similar letter was sent. I didn't know at the time, but apparently a similar letter was sent, and obviously Phil Tetiet and others sort of a podcast purely to get some change going, and we've obviously seen the pathways reinstated now, and contracts come in. Whether they're enough or not is a discussion for another day. But they're on the treadmill, aren't they? As it were. That's a dreadful analogy, but you know what I mean. They're on the right path, and you can't take steps down the right path. Yeah, can't take steps down the right path unless you're on the path to begin with.
Just on Wales, I think what Wales have done really well, like you say, they're on the path. Are they where we need it to be? Maybe not. But what they did do is they held their hands up and said, we got things wrong, and we're going to try and change it. And it's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to get some things in place. We're going to listen to the recommendations from the review. We're going to talk to our players. Like, they've had lots of correspondence with, Shuan and Lily Crapp, and working with a leadership group there. It's like, that's the way to fix things, and we just had, when you ask a player, what do they need to work on? They can easily pick out all the things that they're not great at, right? So, like, the players will hold their hands up to where they've got responsibility in all this as well. Absolutely. But I think it's got to start with, we've got this wrong, we've got that wrong. We have to change things moving forward. And that's kind of the attitude that Wales have had. And that's what I've been really impressed with Nigel Walker coming in, making a very quick impact and putting their hands up to say things weren't right and they're not right, and we're going to change it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they identify, don't they, Anthony Eddy and David Nucifora, two people that I'm sure done plenty of Monday morning reviews on players. Who's doing those reviews on those two? And I think that's basically the short and curlies of it, isn't it? Look, we massively hope that this does have some meaningful effect and some long-term effect. I can't see that it won't, because it's out there, and as long as even our tiny little airspace and our little podcast, if we're talking about it and trying to put pressure on and what have you. But yeah, they're a very, very difficult organisation to deal with. No access to players over the last Six Nations and Autumn Internationals outside of sort of group Zoom stuff, which I find extraordinary. But then players are allowed to go on other podcasts because they've got a personal relationship. I mean, it's really unprofessional and really, really bizarre. So yeah, look, as soon as we get some other reaction to it, and some of those players involved, obviously, we're not going to ask at the moment because no doubt legal people will be involved in these things, and we don't want to put anyone in a compromising situation. But yeah, as soon as we can get some reaction, we will. What we can get some reaction to, Rachel Burford, is the lady who has just been crowned the world's best player, Zoe Allcroft. Here she is.
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Peat and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod. Enjoy.
It is a great pleasure this morning on the WRP. I mean, last week you had the best coach in the world in Simon Wilton, and today we have simply the best player in the world, Zoe Allcroft. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm very well.
Where are you? Where are you now? Are you sort of still floating on sort of cloud 27, or have you sort of drifted back down to about 2 or 3?
I am slowly coming back down, but I'm still up there.
Oh, huge congratulations! What an honour to bestowed upon you. When did you find out? How did you find out? Talk us through the last few days/weeks.
So I actually found out not last Thursday, the Thursday before. So we got told that that World Rugby were coming to do some filming, and that it was for Mo Hunt, and obviously that was quite believable because it's Mo. So I was absolutely bloody clueless. And then so they came in, the cameras were there, Maggie was at the back, still not clicking on. They did some analysis. Our coaches went through some analysis, and then Linny was like, "Oh, Maggie, Alfonso just wants to have a little chat." Like, didn't really say what it was about, and then obviously Maggie starts like speaking, and she goes, "England have won like four of their autumn international games," and I was like, "Oh, this is a bit weird because like there's Welsh internationals in the room, like USA, Irish girls in the room," and I was like, "God." And then obviously she went on and said about world player, and I was like, and then it finally clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely from me. Yeah, it's a great little video with Maggie there. I mean, you must be an amazing poker player then to have not sort of let the cat out of the bag. Or who let the cat out of the bag to the rest of the Gloucester squad? Or have you mentioned
so they
already?
were all in the room.
I see. They're all in the room, but they had to keep it quiet as well.
Yeah, so they had to keep it quiet as well.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's impressive to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Zoe, who was the first person? Who was the first person that you wanted to call and speak to when you found out?
I rang my mum and dad first, and they were so excited. And then I rang my boyfriend Luke, and he was like, "What?" So, yeah, they were all very, very excited.
What does an individual award? And I've got a feeling I know the answer you're going to come out with, Zoe, but I'm going to try to steer you away from it because it is the ultimate team game, or certainly in our eyes, the three of us on here. But what is it? Have you had a moment just to reflect, possibly mum and dad or with Luke or whatever, just to say, well, do you know what? I have put it in, and I've come back for some pretty serious injuries, and I've put a run together, and I'm playing pretty well. I'm pretty chuffed myself. Have you had a little moment like that, or perhaps brushing your teeth in the mirror or something? You've had a wee moment just to reflect on a personal level.
Yeah, I have definitely. Yeah, I keep like spelling out like world, like what now? Like the world is. I just like find that crazy. But yeah, I have had a couple of moments where I have thought, oh my god, I can't believe it. So.
And England obviously are on a phenomenal run. You know, these things tend to come around when obviously the team are playing well. What has been the difference? We can easily signpost the sort of full professionalism. We can go PPP, all that kind of stuff. But especially sort of up front, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, struggling, sort of scrum time, that kind of stuff. Now you're utterly dominant in virtually every single area of the game. What has been the difference over the last sort of 18 months?
I would say that the big emphasis of us coming into the autumns was how fast we were going to learn stuff. So, like the detail around our line. Obviously, we had a new forwards coach going, Louis Deacon. So it's just that how quickly we could learn all those details around the line out, around the scrum, about our ball carrying, and how we could put that into each game and like look at the analysis of the games and like look what would work for that team, but also from that focusing a lot on ourselves. And I think that like the girls have worked so hard to know all the information every time we went on the pitch, like the amount of line out walkthroughs that we do is crazy, but it's all definitely worth it.
Absolutely. What has Lewis Deacon brought to the party to you guys up front? What is he adding to your game?
Just like the detail around the lineup, like the speed that we get into the lineup now and the tempo that we can go with, just teams through the autumns just couldn't live with that, and it gave us a real good platform to play off it, and it was one of our biggest strengths in the autumn internationals. Yeah,
absolutely. 18 games in a row. Where do you see yourself? I already mentioned sort of you had a bit of a bumpy road with injuries and what have you. And I know you cited that as a sort of, the reason you're playing so well is that you're one of those players who likes to, I'm guessing, put a rhythm together in terms of game time and back-to-back games. What are you looking at to add to your game? He says, cough, cough, asking the world's best player. But where do you think you can? Where do you think you can still add to your game and grow?
I think there's like quite a few things that I could also grow with. I think there's definitely like my ball carrying from close quarter ranges. I think that's one of my work-ons this year that I really want to work on. Also, receiving kickoffs but being lifted into the air to do so. I think that's a thing that we could bring in to our game so that those kickoffs are a real secure part of it. And then just all overall distribution skills, like just that catch and pass, like doing it under pressure. So those are the few things that I'm looking to work on going into the Six Nations and obviously through in the Allianz Premier 15 season at the moment.
Just a few things.
This is frightening, isn't it? This is the world's best player dissecting her own game. But I don't want to save your blushes, Zoe, but we'll do it anyway. But just how impressive has Zoe been over the last 12 months or so?
Oh, I think she's been exceptional. Like, we talk about on-pitch performances. You brought the way that you lead with your dominance in your your carrying is one of the best out there. I've seen a little video of you coaching it as well this week. It's just, all your finer detail, your work rate is something that then allows you to have all these ball carries opportunities, your work rate in defence to get off the line and put in the tackles you do. It's from start to finish your performance. And I think we've just seen you grow and grow. And I've been there where you were having injury problems and you couldn't consistently. And I think the biggest area of growth, I think, your playing ability has always been there, but I'd say your leadership skills and how you were that quiet player, but now you're at the forefront. You're leading England out. Just a couple of weeks ago, you've been leading Gloucester Hartbury. For me, that's really the biggest area of growth that I've seen from you. And have there been some players that have helped you bring you along that journey to really find your own voice and to believe in yourself and have the confidence to lead, not just by your actions, but also, in those meeting settings as a captain? Talk us a little bit through that.
I think so. Obviously, Suns was absolutely amazing when I did get called into that captain role. She sat down with me, just basically told me that there was no pressure for me to speak anymore than I do already, and that I'd lead by my actions. And I think that's a big thing. Like, my leadership is through my actions rather than the words that I do say. So Suns was massive in that in those days leading up to me being actual captain. But even before that, she like helped me so much, like through the lineouts, and then also seeing like Abby Ward, like she's an amazing role model, like she's got great leadership skills, and so being able to learn from her as well, like how she delivers things, that sort of stuff, and also help with the psychologists, just sitting down with them, like learning my own leadership styles. Like it's a bit more of an authentic leader. Like I'm not that, like, well, I am direct, but like I'm not like, we have these colours called like red, blue. I'm more of like a green sort of leader, if that makes sense. So I want to say nice leader, but I mean other people are nice.
Yeah, I don't even.
You're more
Not
carrot
too
than
aggressive.
stick. More carrot than stick. You know, we get you.
Yeah. So a lot of work with the psychologists around that as well. So yeah, they're the main people that have kind of helped me to develop my sort of leadership skills. And then also the girls like who that I have the chance of leading, they're like amazing to lead because it makes it so easy for me to do my job if they like listen, if they are like understanding, that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal. I was just going to say exactly the same, Burf. Yeah, talking to Sean Lynn down at Gloucester Hartbury, and he hugely impressed with the way you're really, really growing as a leader, and it's still only. It's a bit rude to say the lady's age, but still only 25. That's unbelievable. I mean, Marley Packer's 47, and she's still putting it out there for the Red Roses. That's all right. Marley and I are tight. That's fine. So you've got loads and loads of years ahead of you, achieving so much. What else is to do? You know, we're in a huge year, aren't we, for women's rugby? You've got Six Nations. Are you approving of the Super Saturday and the way that's fallen as well?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy that it's got its own slot. I think obviously, when you have it at the same time as the men's, there's so much rugby to watch, and not everyone gets it all in. So having it at a separate time gives people to watch the rugby the men's Six Nations and enjoy that, and then they can watch ours and enjoy that.
And what else is left to achieve, Zoe? 25, you've done it all. Obviously, going to smash the Six Nations. The World Cup's yours to lose, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the big goal. Win the World Cup. That is the big one.
World Cup. That would be an unbelievable 12 months for you. It really, really would. Zoe, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real treat. I know you've been a busy lady doing interviews left, right, and centre. So we appreciate you taking the time to come on the WRP, and all the best for the rest of the season and the Six Nations and beyond. We'll see you on a touchline very soon.
Thank you very much.
25 years of age, Burf, and I mean, it's like she just won a sort of raffle at the local primary school.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, talk about, you can post all your sweeping of changing rooms on social media you like, but I mean, that's truly humble, isn't it? From
you only
the
took
world's best
12
player.
minutes, Johnny. Only 12 minutes. Only 12. Well, now I know, and now I know how we're going. Yours is coming. Just hugely impressive. Such a humble individual. She doesn't, go out there and shout about her work and what she's done. And she has had a really difficult time with injuries back to back and significant ones as well. And for her to come back and to play as well as she has at club, first and foremost, and then for it to then go into another level at the international level, it's just been incredible for her to see. And look, I think we have to mention Poppy Cleall's been absolutely outstanding as well. So for them to be going head to head against one another, a lot of people would have favoured Poppy to win that award because of the amount of, excellent game that she's been playing. But I think in the same respect, you think of just that last game, how Zoe led, the way she scored that try. I mean, don't score tries like that. And, she's been moving from back row to second row. She's gone into a leadership, leading the line outs and also then captaining at the side. I think it's just been such a whirlwind for her, and she's probably just not taking it all in, and that's why she probably just comes across as quite blasé about it. But her description going, I keep thinking about the world, and then literally drew a world with her fingers to give her the visual idea of what it actually means, not just in the Allianz, not just in the UK, but not just in Europe, the entire world, Zoe.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
I was on the phone and there's email. No, absolutely brilliant. I mean, two and a half, 3 years ago, we're talking about that combination. O'Donnell, Moana Talling was coming through. Harriet Miller-Mills can always play across the back five. Probably Clear was doing the same. I know she was injured at the time, but she's come a huge way in a very, very short space of time, and still at 25 years of age, and she's dissecting her game. That was her longest answer, wasn't it, about her own game and what she can do better? Unbelievable. But no, she's a phenomenal player, and it was going to be one of the two, wasn't it? Poppy Clear obviously won Women's Six Nations Player of the Year, and Zoe Allcroft has now scooped the big gong from World Rugby.
I'm Lynn Cantwell, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Speaking of these World Rugby Awards, they also announced their Team of the Year. Burford included 6 French players, 5 English players, 1 New Zealander, 1 Welsh, 1 Canadian, and 1 Italian. Shall I do the forwards? You do the backs?
Yes.
Deschamps from France at loose head. Sochat from France at hooker. Sarah Byrne on the tight head from England. Safi Ndiaye with Abby Ward in the second row, French and English combined. Zoe Allcroft, world's best player at 6. Karen Pacqua from Canada. And she's still going. Unbelievable. Brilliant player. And Poppy Clear at 8.
And at number 9, I had Laurie Susan from France. At number 10, Caroline Drouin from France. Also, Abby Dow in at number from England. Patrice Rigoni from Italy at 12. Stacey Flula, friend of the pod, at 13 from New Zealand. 14 is Caroline Bouillard from France. And at fullback 15 was Jazz Joyce from Wales.
Jazz Joyce on the pod just a couple of weeks ago. Great news for all those. I'm really pleased. There's an Italian in there. Rigoni's been brilliant for Italy for many years, and to get her in. A Canadian as well, Karen Pacqua. That is brilliant. Continue on the World Rugby theme. Irish legend Dr. Claire Malloy has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. We may well have to do a special little series because there are some proper legends who have hung up the boots of late. Claire Malloy being one of those. Obviously, our friend Katie Dana McLean, MB. Lindsay Peat. I don't know. You may well know Seni Napu. I've heard rumours, but I don't know whether the boots have been hung up or whether you're at liberty to say or not. But we may just have to do a special little series just talking to these people about their life and times. But yeah, huge congratulations to Claire Malloy. Fully deserved. The good news just keeps coming in women's rugby. The Women's Player Association has been launched for new players in rugby union from the Premier 15s and down. The current RPA, run by David Hopley, deals with the England players, I believe. So this is going to be for those players sort of underneath that, led by CEO Daniel Nolly Waterman alongside Emma Lax, Polly Barnes and Holly Hamill. The organisation will fund medical, legal and welfare support for members at a cost starting at just £1 a year. Currently, players on England contracts can join and access the Rugby Players Association, even though it doesn't extend to those Premiership players, as I was saying, to the amateurs and semi-professional players. And it's another step, isn't it? Recognition of just how big women's rugby is growing and where it's going, and people not afraid to say, well, yeah, we need that. Who's going to do that then? I'll crack on and do it. You're a great example of that, and now Nolly and Polly and the rest have done the same.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the work that they've put in over the last year to get it to where it is. It's definitely something that's needed. And it all came from, is that work coming out from the Allianz Premier 15s that things weren't quite right and players weren't being particularly looked after well or educated very well. And like you said, the RPA do look after the Red Roses very, very well. And they're not in a position at the moment to be able to step in and do also the Allianz 15 because they represent professional players. It's quite a tricky one, especially when you think about women in that kind of professional elite area. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing how this plays out. They've had really good communication with a lot of stakeholders. So yeah, I'm looking forward to CSGOs and being informed and involved on the peripheral.
Yeah, indeed. So, I mean, basically sort of creating a minimum standard across the league for players' welfare can only be a good thing. So no, it's very, very well done to all those involved. So yes, get involved. They're across social media. WRA. I tell you what, we haven't mentioned, Berth, is the Women's Sevens Player of the Year. Absolutely shocking of us. Who is the World Rugby Women's Sevens Player of the Year, Rachel Burford?
The World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year is Anne-Cécile Stéphane from France. She's been absolutely electric for them this year, for France. Been an absolute game changer for them. So yeah, really pleased to see her win that award.
Yeah, fair play to her. And yeah, they were looking really good in the desert. In between pina coladas, I was watching a little bit of the women's play. That's very hard work, actually.
Yeah, to get that in there.
It was tough. They impressed, actually. The likes of France, who've always been on the circuit, but kind of near down the bottom. The likes of Brazil, really beat GB one of the last games of the tournament. Really, really beginning to sort of spread their wings a little bit on the seven circuit. Well, French rugby is just on a complete high at the minute, isn't it? Delicious, that prospect of the Red Rose against France at the end of the Six Nations. Cannot wait. But let's move into some club rugby then, Rachel Burford. Back with your boots on, back all laced up. We'll just go through, sort of just touch on the results of the weekend, but more your sort of feelings about these teams so far this season. Get a sort of a third of the way through mid-season review, third season review. You know where I'm coming from. Anyway,
pre-end of the year.
Yeah, yes. A 2021 review. Gloucester Heartbreak clinched a tight one against top four Exeter Chiefs. How impressed have you been with Gloucester Heartbreak? They're quite often on the wrong end of these tight ones, and they were the week before, weren't they? Against Saracens. I tipped Exeter to win. Sarah Hunter tipped Gloucester to win, and fair play to her. But what have you made of Gloucester so far?
Yeah, well, I think that result, it was coming to be their time, wasn't it? That was like the third fixture, even when they played against Harlequins. They just lost in the dying moments as well. So I just think seeing a team maturing, and, when you go through real tight games and hardship, you do really learn from them, because you overanalyze in those kind of things, and then actually you learn so much more. But I think we're just seeing a side that's really starting to mature more. There's obviously there's more international players there, which, plucking one or two players back into like a solid pack, or a pack that's quite young, with a Zoe Allcroft and then Banana Kate Bliss and then a Kirsty Stommer that goes in there. Then all of a sudden you bolster that experience, that knowledge, and then it kind of has this ripple effect. But I think it's been really pleasing to see that they've taken that next step, and feel for Sean Lynn, who's like, on the edge of beating, the top four teams, and then just slips away. So really deserved to win that game at the weekend against Exeter. They played a really, really game against them and didn't give Ex-Chiefs any opportunities. Although I would say that try was a try. So I think Susie won't be too happy with that one. But, you've got to play what the ref plays on the day.
Yeah, you do indeed. And Exeter themselves, brought in Steve Selvin, now new forwards coach. They're Galacticos, but they're a tough side to beat.
Oh, they're so strong. They're so well drilled and have such clear clarity on their roles. And then that's really hard to break down. And they're just really tough. They're just tough players that just get knocked down, they get back up again, and they still run as hard as they did the first 10 times, And they're a team that's really well structured. Their game management is pretty good considering, Susie's missing a lot of midfield at the moment. She hasn't got an out 10 at the moment as well. So she's having to juggle, play Kate Zachary, who's doing a fantastic job in the centres, but not her best position for her. So, they're riding a bit of a wave at the moment with some injuries, some setbacks. And so it'd be interesting to see how they kick on in the new year. Hope have some of their players back and have players playing in the right position. But their forward pack is they're tough. They're just made of something that's, making them stronger down in those waters down there.
I mean, that's a point that Cinta made, was actually just that travel down there. Excuse me. It's a little like the Newcastle men, isn't it? Nobody, go all the way. Before you've even gone on the bus or the coach or got in the car, or the train, it's already, you've got such a long way. I think that is part of it. Are they going to finish in the top 4, Beth?
They definitely have the capability to. I mean, I think that this year is just so fascinating. It's, everybody's lost now. There's still so much to be playing. They can definitely be in that top 4.
Moving on to Loughborough. Sale, wasn't it? 27-0 to Loughborough. They seem to have got back on the treadmill.
Keep using that one. Yeah, no, again, another side that's had players away, whether that was, with sevens, whether that was away preparing for qualifiers. They're suddenly getting their whole squad back together, being able to perform in the way that Reece and Sunter will want them to. I think this weekend's game is going to be a real marker of where they are. And yeah, I think Bristol are on that wobbly stall at the moment. And so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go this weekend, because I think that would be the real marker of where the Loughborough Lightning team is.
And Sale, I guess Katie McLean, NBA, would want just growth this year, and their players playing better rugby, getting some experience, and them as a team beginning to build and come together. Can you see that?
Yeah, I think naturally, look, Katie is the ultimate competitor. She'll want to win everything. But, I was experiencing what that side is like. They're full of passion and desire and the want to play and win games. They don't give an inch. And I think, she's building a squad. She's just stepped away from her boots as well. So that's a big 10 position that's now being filled. And I think, for her, she'll want to keep building that year of new players coming in, learning from experiences of playing away, playing against the likes of a Saracens and Harlequins. What can we learn from that? And I think next year, there may be some more recruitment over the summer, but next year will be the real where she'll probably set some real realistic targets for that Sale Sharks team.
Yeah, absolutely. Wasps ran 11 tries against DMP, 5 from Ellie Boatwiller, who's having a very, very good season, getting some sevens experience as well with GB sevens, 70-0. Wasps continue to score tries for fun.
Yeah, and that's even without Abby Dow around. It's quite scary what they can still produce with, also with. Without Meg Jones in the side as well, and Celia Quantza away, but yeah, look, I think Wasps, they've been a threat. They've got such incredible, talented players, and I think for them to have that result, we played against DMP. Play your style of that you want to play and come off the back of that is really important. But they'll know that it's a different challenge coming up, as do we, and. Yeah, I think, when Giselle has all the players available that she can have, they're a top 4 side. And that's what everybody's kind of, people are worried this year about whether they can get into that top 4 because of how competitive it is when teams are fully loaded.
And before we go on the last sort of result from the weekend, it's now, we certainly knew the top 2 the last few years. We know what the final's going to have been. We could probably guess the top 4 as well. In fact, I think we've probably done that successfully the last couple of years. It's now 6 squeezing into 4, isn't it? And that makes a big difference to the viewers and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it does. It confidently, I'll say we'll be in the top 4 as a Harlequins player, but you still got to make sure that every game you play matters. Yeah. Whereas in the past, it wasn't as much. The only kind of loss the top 1 and 2 might have had was against each other, and they didn't really need to worry outside of that. And, there was a couple of upsets here and there, but now, look at what just Worcester just almost did at the weekend. So you literally can't expect to turn up, just beat teams, without doing the thorough preparation and being prepared at how they're going to play and have done your analysis and come up with a game plan to beat them. You can't just turn up to these games. And that makes it fascinating, makes it pressure. It makes it, as a viewer, don't know who's going to win this weekend, don't know who's going to end up top 4, or it really matters if they get a bonus point, so all those kind of things, talking points and excitement come into it, because it is, you're not sure. You can't put your finger on who's definitely going to be there.
No, absolutely. You back to that result of the weekend between Worcester and Bristol. Worcester narrowly missing out on a big upset. Would have been a big upset, but the Bears fought back in the second half to win 14-12. And we did touch on your game, 36-17 at the Stone X. That scoreline is a nice one to have. I was impressed. I thought Jay Conkle was immense. Happy with your troops, your Chargers?
So happy. I think all week, everything we discussed and everything we wanted to implement, we did. And I think that's probably our best performances as a side, from start to finish. And we weathered a few patches within the game. But yeah, I just think that it was, for me, just the work rate that our team put in. I was watching it back, and every time somebody made a tackle, they were back on their feet within 2 seconds. And just the will and the want, because, you give Saracens an inch, and we've been there so many times where we've gone on top and then we've given them an opportunity. We've given them a sniff and they've come back and they've beaten us. And I remember looking up at the clock, 65 minutes, I think it was Botch just scored. And I thought, oh God, we've been here before.
Here we go.
Yeah. And it wasn't like you go, oh, we're going to lose. But I was like, right, what do we need to do differently that we haven't done before? And I think we've really learned a lot of lessons, and that we're able to put it into that game. And like I said at the start, like we wanted to play our way, and we had a real intent right from the get-go. We wanted to move the ball. We wanted to play with some flair in the Quins' way. And coming at half-time, we were in a really good position, but let's not try and hold on to this, because that's the worst thing you could do, is just try and hold on and not lose the lead. Actually, let's go and keep trying to push this lead on. And yeah, just genuinely really proud. And I think Jonko was just unreal. Her ball carrying, her speed on. I mean, she was questioning whether she was going to be able to play because she had a bit of a tweak in the week. And then, to pull out a performance like that, she did it last time when we played there as well. She was unreal. But I think Sarah Beckett, our entire back row were just phenomenal. Even Rosie Gallagher, like the amount of tackles that she put in, and it was just so impressive. I think everybody really stepped up their game. They really took on the challenge, and we really rose to it. And so, yeah, really proud of the win. And look, we didn't know about the record. We didn't know what. We just prepared like it was another game. It was a big one, but we didn't kind of focus on any of that noise either.
Yeah, because that's the first time they lost at home since 1874. So
Which
it
is,
was,
I mean, that's amazing what they've done there. Like,
it's amazing
you've
you're
got to
still
give hats
playing
to it.
Galberth. You playing that game as well. But no, it was a hell of a record. That 3 years, I think it is, isn't it? But if not longer for Saracens at home. But yeah, no, a great result for you. All that means that Bristol take the lead with 35 points at the top of the table, with Saracens in second on 33. Harlequins closing in and behind on 29 points, whilst moving to that top 4 head of Exeter Chiefs. So round 9 next weekend. DMP Durham Sharks against Exeter Chiefs. Loughborough Lightning against Bristol Bears. Sale Sharks take on Saracens. Gloucester Hartby travel to Worcester Warriors. Those are the only fixtures, aren't they, Berth? Come on, here you go. You can do your sales pitch now. You can do your sales pitch.
Yeah, so we have the big game 13 at Twickenham Stadium on the 27th of December. Really excited. I think yesterday it was something like 55 or 65,000 tickets sold. So super excited to play in what is our second big game. But yeah, get your tickets, come down. Or if you want to listen to Johnny on the comms that weekend. But yeah, come and get down, get involved, come and watch the game. Really excited for that one. And, you know, the last time we played there. Sorry, go on.
No, please, carry on.
I was just going to say, the time we played big game was obviously against Leinster. And, you know, playing games always mean things. But moving it this year to being an actual fixture that contributes towards the league, there's so much riding on this. You know, Wasps are going to be fully loaded. It's going to be a really epic game. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to my cousin last night, who lives in Twickenham, but she is not a rugby fan in the slightest. She's taken her son and her godchildren and whatever to the big game. So it's a brilliant occasion. You're about 2:15, and the men are following that. Main course first, and then the dessert. It's a brilliant family day out. The lights go down. There's DJs and fireworks and light shows. All the rest of it. It really is a cracking family day out. So, and that really is the tone of it. It's a really good family day out. So, if you haven't got a ticket, then grab yourselves one, because it's a great day out, and support women's rugby with your wallet and your feet. And if you can't, then that game will be broadcast live on BT Sport. So awesome. Now, with the rest of the news from around the world, Nadi Buthelezi, Nadi's news.
Thank you, Johnny. Great to be back again this week. I hope everybody's enjoying the festivities of the year 2021 as we do reach the end of the year. But to get into the news this week, Ireland in round 9 of the Energia All-Ireland League, Ballincollig lost at home against Blackrock College, getting heavily thumped 84-0, while Cook won against Malone, winning that clash 19-10. Gulvegians also get a victory at home against Wicklow and winning that clash 22-7. Old Belvedere lose at home against Railway Union, losing that game 43-8, whilst Teutonians also get a loss against UI Bohemian and losing that game 43-3. So going into the new year, Railway Union remain unbeaten in the table. The top 4 remain unchanged, with Railway Union and UI Bohemian in first and second, both on 39 points, but Railway Union leading on no losses. There's no Energia All-Ireland League next weekend, but it does return in 2022. In the English Championship in the North, Barnsley lost at home against Cheltenham, losing that game 55-24, while Furwood Waterloo get a win against Kenilworth, winning that game 17-8. Harrogate draw 10-all against Lichfield, while Sefton lose at home against Novocastrians, losing that game 29-0. West Park Leeds get a victory against Loughborough Town, winning 31-5 at home, while West Park Leeds remain at the top of the table undefeated with 8 wins from 8 on 40 points, with Cheltenham Tigers chasing in second on 37 points. Meanwhile, in Championship South, the top of the table clash between Thurrock and Bath was postponed due to positive COVID cases and will be rearranged. Blackheath, however, got a victory at home against Buckingham Swans, winning that game 50-12, while Old Albanians also get a massive win against Henley, winning that game 60-0. Supermarine also get a win against Hove, winning that game 26-12, while Reading Abbey win 12-0 against Richmond. Thurrock still lead the top of the table on 38 points, and Old Albanians moving into second in 35 points, and Bath in third on 34 points. Bear in mind that all these teams have a game in hand. Next week in round 10, we can look forward to fixtures where Cheltenham will take on Novocastrians, Harrogate will host Kenilworth, Furwood Waterloo will take on West Park Leeds, Lichfield will take on Barnsley, Loughborough Town will go head-to-head against Sefton in the north. And moving over to the south, Bath will take on Buckingham Swans, Blackheath will take on Supermarine, Henley will take on Richmond, and Thurrock will host Old Albanians, while Hove will host Reading Abbey. Looking south to France in Elite 1 and Pool 1, AC Pobagny lost at home against Stade Rennais, losing that clash 18-10, whilst Lens versus Grenoble and Stade Francais versus Stade Toulouse both appear to have been postponed. And in Pool 2, Stade Bordeaux get a victory against Lille, winning that game 23, while RC Chili Mazarin lose at home against AS Benes, losing that clash 25-0. Montpellier, however, get a victory against Lille, winning that clash 29-7. This means in the table, Stade Toulouse lead Pool 1 on 25 points with 5 wins from 5. Looking over to Pool 2, Montpellier moved to first place on 30 points with Stade Bordeaux in second on 28 points, but with a game in hand. Now looking at our fixtures next week, and in Pool 1, ASM Rugby will take on Lens, Stade Rennais will take on Stade Francais, Grenoble will take on AC Pobagny, and Stade Toulouse will be on a bye. And moving over to Pool 2, Blackneck Rugby will take on Stade Bordeaux, and AS Benes will take on Lille, while Lyon will take on Chili Mazarin with Montpellier on a bye. And finally, in the Liga Iberdrola in round 9, the Complutense Cisneros versus Grad Residentia was postponed, while Olympico de Pesaro get a victory against St. Cuga, winning that game 2010. Eibar also getting a victory at home against Sansei Scroom, winning that game 33-23. Cotiva Cocos bag a massive 40-19 against Majadonda. And Majadonda moved to the top of the table on 27 points, with Cotiva Cocos and Eibar close in second and third on 26 points. And next weekend in round 10, we can look forward to fixtures where Sant Cuga will take on Grad Residentia, Sansei Scroom will take on Olympico de Pozzelo, and Majadonda will take on Eibar, or Cotiva Cocos will host Complutense Cisneros. That's it from me, Johnny. Catch you soon.
I'm Marley Packer, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Nadi, thank you very, very much indeed. It's mean, really, isn't it? The teams that we get her to pronounce. And she absolutely nails them every single week. Absolutely brilliant. And you and I struggle with the Prem 15 teams, let alone the Spanish, French, and Irish. Nadi, lovely to have you bring us all the news. Thank you so much. Seasonal greetings to you. But that's it, Burf, for another week. Pod 96 of the regular weekly pods, closing in on the century.
Oh, are we going to have a party?
It won't be allowed.
Do it live.
We can have a small gathering at number 10, but we're not allowed to party anywhere else. And we're going to move away from the political chat now. Yeah, there's a few little bits in the pipeline, just ticking along. But no, ticking towards that 100. Not quite sure what we're going to do next week or over Christmas. We might sort of pre-record one of those Life in the Times of, actually, because, yeah, it'd be nice to have a little bit of time off over Christmas. But we'll do something around the big game as well. But great to see you. Great to see you back on the field. Thank you to the builders for shutting up shop for the last hour or so. But no, great to have you on board, Burf. Now you can do your sales pitch for the pod.
Well, you can find us pretty much everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just follow at Pod Women's Rugby.
Indeed, and we might be doing a little giveaway actually as well next week. We got really cool bobber hats and coats and all the rest of it. Pinks and cherries are the WRP colours. www.hallbro.com/WRP. That's www.hallbro.com/WRP for our stash, our latest stash, men and women's, of course, from us and from Hallbro as well. Thank you very much, Fergus, for all of that. Thank you to the guys behind, to Bluebell, whoop, whoop, to Tom, to Sean, to Nandy, to you, Berth. Stay safe. Where are you at with the Christmas shopping?
Don't.
Right. Okay. We'll move on really, really quick. You've got something for the dogs, but nobody else, right?
I haven't even got it for the dogs.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Bah humbug.
Rachel Burford's going to click on Amazon, and I'm off into town to grab some more Christmas presents. Everybody, stay safe, take it easy, and we will see you next.